They say the worst mistakes don't start with chaos. They start with a quiet itch. An itch for something more, something forbidden. That itch hit me the night of our office's annual winter party. The hotel ballroom was dimly lit, the chandeliers casting a soft golden hue over white linen tables and glittering champagne flutes. From the outside, everything looked perfect, elegant, controlled. But inside me, chaos. I stood near the open bar, wearing a fitted burgundy dress I'd bought to impress my boyfriend, Ethan. The man who had, for the last 3 years, been nothing but stable, kind, loving, predictable. He was standing across the room talking to my manager, laughing politely, looking every bit the husband material people always said he was. Tall, clean-cut, dependable. He wore loyalty like a second skin. And I should have been proud to be by his side. I should have been holding his hand, clinging to the man who would do anything for me. Instead, I was sipping my 3rd glass of wine, my heels already aching, and letting my eyes wander toward danger. That danger had a name. Damon. He was one of the newer hires, lean, tall, rough around the edges. He had that effortless arrogance that either repelled you or drew you in like a magnet, the kind of man who looked at you like he already knew what you tasted like. I'd said hi in passing once or twice, but tonight, he noticed me. And not in a friendly coworker way. No, he saw me. His eyes locked with mine from across the room like he'd been waiting for this moment, like he'd been planning it. He walked up to me, drink in hand, grin on his lips. "You clean up well," he said, looking me over unapologetically. I laughed too quickly, feeling the wine buzz and heat of his gaze crawl down my neck. "Thanks. You don't look bad yourself." Flirting, innocent, just words, at first. But when his fingers lightly brushed my lower back as he reached past me to grab a drink napkin, I didn't move away. He leaned in, his voice low and smooth. "You here with your boyfriend?" "Yeah," I replied, instantly hating how defensive it sounded. "Didn't seem like it. You've been over here all alone." I didn't respond. My silence said enough, and he knew it. He leaned a little closer, enough for his breath to hit my cheek. "Want to go somewhere quieter?" My heart thudded in my chest. I should have said no. I meant to say no. But I looked at him, this walking bad decision in cologne and smirk, and I nodded. That's when I crossed the first line, the point of no return. He slipped his hand into mine and guided me through the side exit of the ballroom, past the pool deck, toward the dimly lit parking garage where his car waited. It was impulsive, stupid, reckless, and it felt like everything I'd ever secretly craved. The click of the car doors unlocking echoed through the empty garage like a warning, one I ignored. Damon opened the passenger door for me. Gentleman move, except everything about this was filthy, forbidden. I slid into the leather seat like I was floating, outside of myself, watching this reckless girl do something she'd regret for the rest of her life. The air inside his car was warm, laced with the scent of his cologne, dark, spicy, overwhelming, and something else beneath it. Anticipation, tension, lust. He got in, shut the door, and for a moment we just sat there in silence. I could hear the faint hum of traffic above us. My breathing was shallow. My heart was pounding so loud I swore he could hear it. And then he leaned in. His lips crashed into mine, rough and hungry. There was no pretense, no hesitation. His hands were everywhere, gripping my waist, sliding down my thighs, yanking the hem of my dress higher. I kissed him back like I was starved. All I could think about was how different it felt. Ethan kissed me softly. Damon devoured me. He pulled back, looked me dead in the eyes, and growled, "Get in the back." I didn't question it. I climbed over the center console into the back seat, heart racing. By the time he joined me, I was already unzipping my dress, my mind a blur of heat and adrenaline and guilt I kept pushing deeper. He didn't even wait. His belt came off with a practiced flick, pants dropped just enough. He was hard already, thick and veined, standing there like a dare. I hesitated. 1 second. But the moment he looked at me and said, "You want this," it was like something in me snapped. I sank down to my knees on the car floor and wrapped my hand around him. The skin was hot, pulsing with need. I lowered my mouth slowly at first, tongue teasing the tip, tasting salt and sin. His hand slid into my hair, gripping tight as I took more of him in, deeper, wetter, sloppier. Every movement of my lips was a betrayal. Every gag, every wet sound, a nail in the coffin of the life I had with Ethan. And I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I wanted to feel wanted, used, filthy. Damon gave me all of that. I looked up at him while I did it, tears streaming from my eyes, mascara streaking, and he just watched me like I was a prize he'd won, a prize I'd willingly thrown at his feet. He bucked his hips, deeper down my throat. I choked but didn't pull away. My hands gripped his thighs, my jaw ached, my stomach twisted. From arousal, from guilt, from the sharp edge of knowing I was shattering someone who loved me without even being in the same room. And when he finally came, he groaned my name, head thrown back, hand tangled in my hair. I swallowed. Out of instinct. Out of shame. When it was over, I sat back on my heels, dress wrinkled, mouth raw. He zipped up casually, not even saying a word. I wiped my lips, fixed my dress, and climbed out of the car without looking at him. The walk back to the ballroom felt like a funeral march. I could still taste him, still feel his hands on my skin. And worst of all, I didn't feel powerful. I felt empty. And then I saw Ethan, smiling at me from across the room, holding a glass of champagne. I smiled back. Fake. Hollow. Hoping he'd never find out. But the thing about sins like mine, they never stay buried. I walked back into the ballroom like nothing had happened, like I hadn't just cheated on my boyfriend in the backseat of another man's car, like my makeup wasn't smeared, like my soul wasn't rotting inside my skin. Ethan spotted me and smiled. God, that smile. It wasn't flashy or cocky like Damon's. It was pure, warm, the kind of smile only a fool in love gives. I wanted to crawl into a hole and scream. Instead, I returned that smile with one of my own. Tight, controlled, a mask. "You okay?" he asked as he handed me a fresh glass of champagne. "Yeah," I said too quickly. "Just needed some air." He kissed my forehead. "You look stunning tonight." I nearly burst into tears right then, because the truth was still fresh on my lips, bitter and sticky and unforgivable. I took the champagne and sipped it like it could wash the taste of betrayal out of my mouth. But it couldn't. The rest of the night passed in a blur of small talk and fake laughter. I clung to Ethan's arm while my stomach twisted with shame. My eyes darted across the room, paranoid that someone had seen me leave, paranoid that Damon would return and say something, do something, blow everything up. But he didn't. He was gone. Just like that, he'd gotten what he wanted and disappeared. The next morning, I woke up in Ethan's bed, wrapped in his arms. He held me like I was his safe place, like I was still the girl he trusted with his heart. And all I could think about was how badly I wanted to rewind time. To wake up yesterday and not follow Damon out that door. To be the woman Ethan thought he was holding. Instead, I laid there still, stiff, pretending to be asleep so I wouldn't have to look him in the eyes. Days passed. I tried to play normal. Work, coffee runs, stolen glances at Ethan when he wasn't looking, just to remind myself what I'd destroyed. But I couldn't look at Damon. I saw him in the office hallway once and my throat closed. He smirked. Not cruelly, just satisfied. Like he knew I wouldn't say a damn thing. He'd gotten what he wanted, and I had to live with what I'd given away. I started avoiding sex with Ethan. The idea of being intimate made me nauseous. Not because I didn't want him, but because I didn't deserve him. Every kiss felt like a lie. Every touch reminded me of what I'd done. He noticed. "You've been distant," he said one night as we sat on the couch. "Is something wrong?" "No," I lied too quickly. "Just tired." He nodded. Believed me. Of course he did, because Ethan was good, and I was filth wearing his favorite hoodie. My spiral started slowly. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I checked my phone obsessively, terrified Damon would text me or worse, tell someone. I kept waiting for the universe to punish me. The punishment came quietly. It came in the form of silence, distance, that gut punch feeling every time Ethan looked at me with love and I felt absolutely nothing but dread. I tried to convince myself I could bury it, that it was a one-time thing, that I could move forward and pretend it didn't matter. But guilt doesn't fade. It festers. It claws at the back of your mind at 3 a.m. It whispers to you when you're brushing your teeth. It screams when the man you betrayed pulls you close and says, "I don't know what I'd do without you." And the worst part? I didn't even know if I deserved to miss him after he found out. Because I knew the truth. This wasn't going to stay secret forever. And when it came out, it would destroy everything. I was in the middle of reviewing a client report when the message popped up on my screen. From Damon. Subject, "We need to talk." I stared at it for a full minute, frozen. My palms went cold, my stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to him since that night, hadn't even looked at him, and now he wanted to talk? I slammed my laptop shut and stood up, heart pounding. He cornered me in the break room 15 minutes later. There was no flirtation this time. No smirk. No slow, confident swagger. Just a cold stare. "You've been avoiding me," he said flatly. "What do you want?" I whispered, glancing over my shoulder to make sure we were alone. "I just think it's interesting," he said, stepping closer. "How quick you were to crawl into my back seat, and now you act like it never happened." "Stop it," I snapped. "Relax," he said with a shrug. "I'm not going to tell anyone. Unless, of course, you give me a reason to." His voice was calm. Too calm. It wasn't a threat, not directly, but it was enough to make me feel the noose tightening. "I made a mistake," I hissed. "It meant nothing." He tilted his head. "Didn't seem like nothing when you were choking on my dick." "Don't," I said, cutting him off, voice trembling. He smirked again, stepping back like he'd won, like he still owned a piece of me. And maybe he did. I left the room shaking, my mind spinning. I couldn't breathe. I knew then the secret wasn't safe anymore. Damon had nothing to lose, and I was the one living with the bomb strapped to my chest. I went home early. I needed to think. But when I opened the door and saw Ethan sitting at the table with takeout and candles lit, my resolve crumbled. "I thought I'd surprise you," he said, smiling. "You've been so stressed lately." He stood up to hug me, but I flinched without meaning to, and his smile faded. "What's wrong?" "Everything." I couldn't hold it in anymore. The guilt, the fear, the pressure. It broke me. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cracking. His brow furrowed. "Okay." I sat down at the table, heart hammering so loudly I couldn't hear my own thoughts. I stared at the takeout containers. the little candle flickering between us, and I snapped. "I cheated on you." The words were a blade, and I'd just buried it in his chest. Ethan froze. He didn't speak, didn't move. I'm so sorry, I said. "It was at the party. I was drunk. I wasn't thinking." "With who?" he asked, voice low, controlled, deadly quiet. I hesitated. "Damon." He blinked once, twice, like he was trying to make sense of the name. Then it clicked. "The new guy?" he whispered. I nodded. His jaw clenched. What happened? I couldn't lie anymore. I went outside with him. We kissed, and then we went to his car. I looked down. I gave him head in the back seat. The silence that followed was worse than any yelling, worse than any insult he could have hurled. He stood up slowly, backed away from the table. I couldn't meet his eyes. "You sucked another guy's dick and came home and kissed me goodnight." My breath caught in my throat. My whole body shook. "I didn't mean to." "Don't!" He cut me off, voice breaking for the first time. "Don't you dare tell me it was a mistake. You made choices. You didn't trip and fall into his lap." Tears streamed down my face. "Please, just let me explain." "No!" he said, grabbing his coat. "I don't want to hear another word from you." He walked out the door without slamming it. Somehow that hurt worse. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the cold kitchen floor, still in my heels, mascara streaked down my cheeks, watching the takeout candles burn out one by one. The silence in the apartment was suffocating. The space Ethan used to fill, with laughter, humming, late-night stories, was now a vacuum, echoing with nothing but guilt. He didn't come home, didn't text, didn't call. The next morning, half his closet was empty. I knew then he was gone, and it was only the beginning. 3 days passed, no word. I tried calling, voicemail. I tried texting, left on read. I sent a long message begging for a chance to explain, to talk, to fix what I'd broken. I never got a reply. Then, one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a number I recognized, Ethan's sister. I hesitated. I should have ignored it, but I answered. Her voice was sharp, controlled rage beneath a layer of grief. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I didn't know what to say. I just cried. "He loved you," she spat. "He was going to propose next month. Did you know that? He already bought the ring." That hit like a bullet to the chest. "You broke him," she said. "I hope it was worth it." Click. I sat in my car and screamed. The kind of scream that doesn't sound human. The kind that rips your throat raw. Because I realized in that moment, I hadn't just lost Ethan. I'd lost the future I was too stupid to see I wanted. The whispers at work started next. People stopped saying hi. Eye contact vanished. I'd walk into the break room and it would go silent. Someone had told someone, probably Damon, or maybe someone saw us leave that night, or maybe Ethan confided in a friend who couldn't keep it to themselves. It didn't matter. The office now felt like a courtroom where I was already convicted. I avoided everyone. Ate lunch alone, took client calls in the hallway just to avoid sitting near coworkers who used to joke with me. One morning, I opened my inbox and saw I'd been removed from a major project. No explanation, just a passive-aggressive shift in schedule. I was becoming invisible, and it was deserved. A week after the confession, Ethan returned. Not to me, but to the apartment. I came home and found him packing up the rest of his things. He didn't say a word at first, just moved methodically, like it hurt too much to look at me. "I wanted to hate you," he finally said, not looking up. Tears welled in my eyes. "Ethan, I wanted to yell, break things, but I don't have the energy." He zipped his suitcase shut, stood up. "You didn't just cheat on me," he said. "You humiliated me. You lied to me. And you made me think I was the problem." "I wasn't thinking you were thinking enough to get on your knees for someone else." He walked to the door, then paused. "You broke something I don't think I can ever get back." And he was gone. Again. But this time, I knew he wasn't coming back. The days blurred into weeks. I stopped counting them after a while because time doesn't move the same way when you're broken. It drags, slithers, bleeds out. I'd wake up in the same bed Ethan used to hold me in and stare at the ceiling like it might collapse and do me a favor. My pillow still smelled like him. His drawer was still half full. T-shirts, a pair of running shoes, the cologne he kept in my bathroom. I couldn't bring myself to throw them out. Because part of me still believed he might come back. That hope died the day I checked his Instagram. He hadn't posted in a while. But there it was. A new photo, tagged in a park we used to visit. He was standing by the lake, smiling, with someone beside him. A girl. She wasn't overly pretty, not the type to steal stares, but she looked calm, safe. And Ethan? He looked like he could breathe again. No puffiness around the eyes, no anger, no trace of me in his expression. He had started healing. Without me. I spiraled. Nights were the worst. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I'd lie awake listening to the silence and replaying that night in my head on an endless loop. The balcony, Damon's hand on my thigh, his voice, the back seat, my lips, the way I wanted it. It wasn't just a slip. It wasn't a moment, it was a choice. A dirty, selfish, thrilling choice that left a crater where my relationship used to be. The worst part? I hadn't even gotten anything from it. Damon barely looked at me after that. I wasn't special to him. I wasn't his secret fantasy or some seductress he couldn't resist. I was just another conquest. One more story to tell the guys over drinks. And now, I was nothing. I started seeing a therapist. At first, I lied, said I was struggling with relationship closure. She saw through it. "I cheated," I finally admitted. "I destroyed everything, and I don't even know why." She was quiet for a long time before asking, "What were you missing with Ethan?" I broke down right there. Because the answer was nothing. Ethan wasn't perfect, but he was enough. He was more than enough. I just didn't want to feel small, predictable, safe. I wanted drama, lust, the feeling of being wanted in the most primal, dangerous way. And I got it. For 15 filthy minutes in the back of a car. Now, I was radioactive. People at work still avoided me. Even the few coworkers who hadn't heard the full story knew something was off. I could feel their pity, their judgment. I considered quitting more than once, but I needed the routine, even if it hurt. So I kept showing up, kept faking small talk, kept living with the weight of what I'd done strapped to my chest. I started writing unsent letters to Ethan at night. "I'm sorry. You didn't deserve it. I think about you every day. I miss your voice in the morning. I miss the way you looked at me like I was good." But I never sent them. Because deep down, I knew he didn't need my apologies. He needed distance and healing and someone who didn't throw away his love for a thrill. It had been 3 months since Ethan walked out of my life. 3 months of silence, therapy, avoidance, and aching. 3 months of learning how to live with the sound of my own guilt. Then, one rainy Saturday afternoon, I saw him. I wasn't expecting it. I was downtown, tucked in the corner of a coffee shop, hoodie up, earbuds in, trying to write in my journal. The door opened behind me and I didn't look up until I heard his laugh. I froze. I knew that sound. I loved that sound. I'd once told him it was my favorite song. That rare, unfiltered Ethan laugh he only let out when he was truly happy. I turned slowly. There he was, standing in line, umbrella under his arm, jacket soaked, smiling. And she was with him, the same girl from the photo. She had her arm tucked into his and was talking animatedly, hands moving with every word. He nodded along, eyes on her, lips curled at the corners like he'd found something peaceful. My chest caved in. Not from jealousy, not really, but from the bitter, irreversible truth that he had found what I destroyed in someone else. They sat down not far from me. I sank lower in my seat, hidden behind my laptop. I didn't want him to see me like this, a ghost in sweatpants clinging to what used to be. I watched them talk. She laughed, he smiled, she leaned into him. He didn't pull away. I couldn't stop the tears. This was what I had traded for a moment, a filthy, careless moment in the backseat of a car. I'd lost a lifetime of mornings, Sunday grocery trips, vacations we planned, children we named in passing. Gone, because I needed to feel desired for one night. I gathered my things and slipped out the back door like a shadow, silent, unnoticed. Exactly what I deserved to be. People always say time heals, that one day it won't hurt anymore. They're half right. The pain dulls, sure, but regret? Regret is a scar that burns when the weather changes, a whisper in the dark that never shuts up. I've spent months rebuilding myself, piece by broken piece. I'm in therapy, I journal, I run every morning to quiet the noise in my head. I've even started dating again, but nothing feels real. Because the truth is, I compare every man to Ethan, not because he was perfect, but because he was mine, and I ruined that. I know now what I didn't then. Loyalty isn't boring. Stability isn't weakness. And love that feels safe is the kind you fight to protect, not the kind you trade for chaos. I tell this story not for sympathy, not for forgiveness, but as a warning. To every woman tempted to chase a fleeting thrill at the cost of something real. You might think you're in control, but the truth is, you're lighting the match that will burn your own future to the ground. And once it's gone, it's gone.